To discuss more, Gilson Schwartz joins us. He's a professor of economics at the University of Sao Paulo. And Gilson, let's begin with Stephen's report. He points out that, this relationship between the region and China, the trade has increased dramatically, a 31-fold increase since China joined the World Trade Organization. So with that as a backdrop, look into your crystal ball and give us a sense of what future trade looks like with the Belt and Road Initiative placed in there.
Well, thank you, Mike. There is really a long-term strategic partnership that has been building up over the years. And I think that both Brazilian companies, as well as Latin American companies and governments, have a lot to win in entering this kind of relationship. The first issue, of course, is commodities. Brazil has been basically led by a commodity boom over the years. That's what led to the accumulation of international reserves at the central bank. So Brazil is now in a very solid position because many people fear that expanding international finance or raising debt could be a problem, could be risky. But in the case of Brazil, we have a very sound progress in terms of commodities that are of a direct interest to China, and we have a very solid financial position in terms of our international reserves. So I think that strategically, this is something that has come to stay in the long run. And of course, there are other issues, especially geopolitical issues, but from the economic perspective, the crystal ball is very clear. This is the way to go, expanding trade and without incurring further financial risks.
Hey, Gilson, let's talk about one of the really ambitious projects. We did a piece on it not too long ago. This is this deep water port about 60 kilometers from Peru's capital of Lima. It's being called the gateway from South America to Asia. The goal, of course, to open the door for more trade between the two regions. What kind of changes might that project bring?
I think that the main benefit is really changing the international framework for free trade and development based on regional capacities and based on competitive advantages. So I think that first, new technologies can bring this kind of trade pattern and investments in infrastructure to a new level. And of course, we know that the Chinese companies and Chinese technologies have been, let's say, facing some kind of campaign, especially in the US. There's a new policy and a new industrial policy in place in the US, while Brazil remains a very open economy. So I think that strategically, if we match the new technologies with this very sound perspective of a long-term cooperation, there's a lot to change. There's a lot to, in terms of the political economy of a Brazilian society, I think that's one way out in terms of course, allowing us to establish new technological patterns cooperating with China.
And Gilson, as you look at the region, what are some other projects you're keeping your eye on, or perhaps other trends that you're watching?
Well, the main concern now is Argentina. Argentina has already been in trouble, and China has come to the rescue, so to speak, has helped Argentina keep floating its economy. I think that Argentina, along with Brazil, represents the most important economic and social context for investments and for economic growth. So I would say that we have to keep an eye on what goes on in Argentina. We have very difficult elections coming with one of the candidates, which is quite scary. He's really pointing out to a complete alignment with the US, dollarization of the economy. So Argentina is really one big issue right now. In terms of the overall regional perspective, I think that the social issues and environmental issues, especially the Amazon issue, the environmental protection is a big question, a big question mark, because there's also projects like drilling more oil in the Amazon basin, and this is something that reaches out to the most higher levels of decision in the Brazilian government. This has been a really important discussion during this first year of President Lula's term, third term. But I mean, this is really something important. We are talking about energy, and environmental issues that, in general terms, are key elements for redesigning Latin American perspectives.
Gilson Schwartz, Professor of Economics at the University of Sao Paulo. Thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.